Grant's pace is also like Barack Obama's. They always move at a very moderate pace. Watch Barack Obama. You'll never see Barack Obama. I've never seen him do this ever. I've never seen him do this. Go up, to his right, or to his left, which is a visual access. Now, I know you probably never thought about that, but if you watch him, his eyes go side to side, which is auditory accessing. Nixon was the same way. That's why they called him they called him shifty eyes. But actually what he was doing is he was accessing auditorily, he was auditorily constructing and auditorily remembering. Okay? So it's important to know what system people are in, 1 second, because if they're in one system and you're selling in another, it's a complete mismatch unconsciously. And that sounds so simple and so fundamental, yet that's one of the most powerful things that I could share with you today. Yes?
Is there any statistics as to percentages of people one way or the other?
65% are predominantly visual. 25% are predominantly auditory, and the rest are predominantly
kinesthetic.
Slow. Kinesthetic. Okay? Yes?
When somebody's making a serious financial decision, like whether it's buying stocks or a house or anything like that, is the same thing apply?
Always, because it's unconscious. No one ever gets out of bed and says, you know, how am I going to process today? I was visual yesterday, but I think I'm going to be kinesthetic today. No, it completely, and we're born, that's hardwired. That's one thing that cannot be changed in the personality or in the neurology. We run all the systems, yet people have a predominant system. They are predominantly auditory, predominantly visual, or predominantly kinesthetic. If you do not sell in that system, you lose them. Give you 1 second. Let me give you an example. Christy, let's say that we're in the sales process, okay? And we're talking, or Nina. And I move at pretty much a snail's pace.
And now I'm going to go do something else.
I've already lost them. If they were prospects or clients, I already lost them in the sales process. That's why it is so vital. Question over here. Yes?
At what time, if there is a time, is this most important?
Every day, all the time. Think about that. You're constantly attempting to persuade and influence people, right? That's what we do for a living. That's the only thing you're ever going to be paid for.
Because I think of the people that I have, for instance, working with right now, and they have come to me. They didn't know me before. They have come and we're working together. I never did anything other than what I do. And why did they choose me? Is my question. If they didn't have time to get to know me or to strategize, or if I didn't get to strategize.
Great question. We have a lot of time this afternoon. Ask questions. Okay? Ask while you're here. Take advantage of our time together. What that could probably be is a couple of things.
What was the question?
Our question was this: how come some clients have chosen her, yet they didn't take a lot of time to get to know her? What that could be is that you're running very similar representational systems. What that means is, to whatever degree they're visual, you're visual, or to whatever degree they are predominantly auditory, you're predominantly auditory. When we have people that run the same kind of system, it's very easy for us to get in an unconscious rapport with them. One of my marketing people, she's Chinese and she talks as fast, and she's like, you know what, nobody can ever understand this. My girlfriend and I, we get together and we're yap, and everybody else can't keep up. So literally she moves that fast. So for those two to fall into that rhythm, just like that. I was talking to a CEO once. He is a general picture thinker. We're not going to cover it today, but your engineers are what are called specific thinkers, okay? And they may be small picture thinkers, not in terms of motivation, but in the way they chunk their information. So the CEO said, you know, I called the CFO at another company, and I talked to him for an hour, and I still couldn't get it figured out. I put my CFO on the phone with his CFO, and they got it done in 10 minutes. How come?
Rapport.
They talk the same kind of unconscious language, okay? One of my marketing people, his name was Chad. Chad was a very general thinker. He had a classic salesperson personality. And he worked for an upscale telemarketing company that I used. And when Chad sold my program, calling on it, he could sell it very well. When they put him on technical accounts, he couldn't sell the technical accounts. How come?
Mismatch.
He speaks unconsciously a different language. So it's along the lines to some degree of what Greg was talking about earlier. If you're not talking their unconscious language, you are losing your prospects and your clients, and you're losing money. Yes, sir?
Well, you have a couple together that you're showing progress.
Talk to the one you're talking to. Whichever one's addressing you, you talk right back in their system, in their
Well,
language.
the thing is that one's a 25% and the other's a 75% camp. How do you deal with that when you're?
Exactly what I just said. If I've got two people and I'm across the table, and many times, and it's karmic hell, a husband and wife will be different, okay? Or couples will be different. So if I'm talking to the husband and he's predominantly visual, I'm showing him all pictures, okay? If I'm talking to the wife and she's predominantly kinesthetic, I'm slowing down, which I know that you're not predominantly kinesthetic, but I'm slowing down to their pace, and I'm also talking about how this feels to her, kind of feeling it gives to her. Can she get her arms around it? You know, what kind of vibe does she get from that?
Don't you create friction because the guy that's.
No, then I come right back to you and I meet your pace right here. Whatever, okay, to keep it really simple, whatever pace you're getting from that person, even if you're talking to a panel, you always actually reflect the system of the person you're talking to. If they're visual, you be visual. If they're kinesthetic, you be kinesthetic, which means slow or question over
When you're
here.
on the phone with them, you listen to how fast you're speaking or how low you're speaking.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is actually meet your voice pace if I were talking to you on the phone, okay? When I listen to people, when I hear people on the phone, what do you think the first thing that I'm listening for is?
Their tone.
Energy, tone.
Tone and what speed they're moving. Because what speed they're moving will tell me, and this really isn't part of the presentation, but I did invite questions and we'll move on. People that are visual move a whole lot faster. For example, think about how fast Christy moved, how fast Nina moved, and how fast did I move. People that are auditory will move at a more moderate pace, and people that are kinesthetic, snail pace. So I listen to their pace on the phone. So if I were talking to her on the phone, I would immediately, instantaneously, I would start meeting her pace. Because what if I got you on the phone and I'm talking this fast like this, she can't even keep up, her head nod can't even keep up because I'm talking this fast. People talk this fast. I would completely lose you as whatever we're trying to do, wouldn't I? Okay, so on the phone, the first thing that I listen for, the first thing I ask myself, I hadn't thought about this, putting this in the presentation, but this is the first question I ask myself when I meet people. Are they predominantly A, V, K? Are they predominantly auditory, visual, or kinesthetic? That is the first thing I want to know from my prospect and my client. Because then what I start doing is I start communicating with them in their preferred modality of unconscious communication.